Go. All right, welcome to another edition of Recruit Nation Sports. Today we are talking with Coach. Our guest for today is Coach Michael Moore of the Savannah High School in Savannah, Georgia. Coach Moore, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm great, great. We're glad to have you today. I know we had some technical difficulties a little earlier, but now we're square, so we can get to talk about some Savannah High School football today. We are
Yes, sir.
we're very excited to have you on today. So I guess we can get on with talking about your head coaching your coaching experience in general. Can you elaborate on that for us and tell us, give us a overview of your overall coaching experience and playing experience?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm from South Carolina, Union, South Carolina. I played high school football in a little country town there, and got a scholarship. Played at Savannah State University with under Coach Bill Davis in the early '90s, and just made Savannah my home. And came straight out of our college and started coaching and teaching at actually starting at teaching at elementary school. Then I moved up to Johnson High School and started coaching there as an offensive line coach. Kind of just worked my way up the ladder there. And my first head coaching job was at New Hampstead High School. I got coached there for 5 years. And then this is my second head coaching job here at Savannah High.
Okay. So Johnson, so that's Johnson High School or Johnson County High School?
Johnson High School in Savannah. I say my whole career has been here in Savannah.
Okay, it's funny because I have some family in Wrightsville, Georgia, and Johnson County High School. I know them that they're like way, down they're like a couple of 100 miles away.
Right.
That's down home, down home.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's get it. Let's get into some stuff about your program right now. So how long have you been involved with the program as a coach in general, head coach, and everything with the school?
This past season was my first year at Savannah High School. I actually took a couple of years off after I left New Hampstead, um, and went to middle school for a little while. Taught at Myers Middle School, and then just decided I was ready to get back into coaching, and the position became open. I actually applied for Savannah High. I applied for the Windsor job, and I applied for the Island job. But Savannah High offered me the position before I went on those other two interviews, and so here I am.
Okay, okay. So I guess you got a good feel for the school and everything like that. Can you give me a idea of the culture of Savannah football in general? Because me as a Northerner, I don't really know the culture of Georgia football, and I don't know the culture of Savannah football. So, can you give me a brief outline of that?
Savannah football is still, it's still a work in progress. It's still up and coming. Savannah is a basketball city, so we're kind of behind the rest of the state as far as exposure with football players. We have a good crop of football players, great athletes in this city, but they're not well recognized at this point because Savannah is just not one of those big football markets. So we try to get more coaches, more recruiters, schools interested in this areas. It started to get recruited more than when I first started, but we still have some work to do with getting our kids recognized.
Okay. So I would see that there's some guys out here that can play, but they just have an issue of being seen,
Right.
and having their stuff put out there. So touching on that, I know you got some guys on your team that probably deserve some recognition. Can we talk about a few of them?
Um, sure. I have a few returning seniors. First of all, at running back, Jamari Generalette will returning. He carried the load for us last season. Led team in rushing and was one of our captains. So he's definitely one of the guys to keep an eye on. We have Marcellus Larry, who was a wide receiver / DB guy. He'll be returning as a senior. Speed guy, physical guy that's gonna lead our defensive secondary and our receiving core. And offensive line wise, a young group of guys coming back, but Rylan Bartley, one of our big 300-pound linemen, will be returning, anchoring the offensive line. So those definitely some guys to keep an eye on the upcoming season.
Okay, yeah, there's some. They sound like some dogs out there and stuff like that. So, um, getting into that, coaching style. Are you an aggressive? Are you an offensive guy or a defensive guy? And if we touch on which one you are you an aggressive guy or are you conservative?
I'm an offensive guy, but I think I'm a mixture of both, but more conservative than I am aggressive. I like to just scan the perimeter, see what the defense is giving us, and exploit that weakness. And I'm very patient with it. I don't try to get overzealous. I'm just like Herman Boone, that Novocaine. You know?
Yeah, you like to look for the weaknesses, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The body punches, right?
Yes, sir.
I know. A lot of coaches I talk to, they're aggressive, and I don't meet many coaches that are what I would call like not technicians, but guys that like to exploit weaknesses.
Right.
You got guys that like to chuck it downfield and get down there and like that exploiting weaknesses. That's old school football. That's
Yes, sir.
you
Yes,
know
sir.
we run plays in the series to see what works, and then and then we hold back our good stuff until
Let's
we
pick our spots. Yeah.
exactly. But that's old school football. I think that's been missing in today's game. The tactical, the strategic and tactical part of the
Right.
game.
Absolutely.
I love that. As a former coach and a player, like I love the strategic part of football. But and I appreciate that.
Yes,
But
sir.
so what primarily do you coach on since you're an offensive guy? Do you coach there outside of you being a head coach? I know each coach has a specialty. Some coaches coach linebackers, some DBs on offense, some do are cool with their quarterbacks or running backs. What do you like to primarily focus on? Like, what's
Yeah,
your
I'm going back to the old school. I'm a born and bred and raised offensive line guy. So
I
I
knew
like
it.
to get down the trenches, baby. So that's where it's won at right there in those trenches. So when you get those guys rocking and rolling, everything is gonna fall into place. So I got to have my hands on those guys as much as possible.
You know what? The older I get, the more I realize that offensive line is the way to go. Everybody likes the glitz and glam of the wide receivers and the running backs and the quarterbacks, but that offensive line, you got a great offensive line, you can do whatever you want to
Do anything you want.
do. So I know your tackles and your offensive tackles and your guards, are your guys. I'm not gonna leave out the center, but them old tackles and those guards, they get taken care of. Am I right?
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I guarantee you they eat and everything first, right? Those
They
guys.
gonna they gonna eat first. They gonna get on the bus first. They gonna know they got to have that. They got to be. That's the only time they get their shine right there. They don't get any camera time, any microphone time. So they got to
Uh,
get it somewhere else.
yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome, though, man. Like I really dig that, man. I see you know, the offensive line guys, in the NFL, they get the best presents too, man. They get to
Yes,
watch
sir.
it. They get to
Yes, sir.
watch it in the cars and all that stuff, man. Shoot, they get all that fun stuff.
Yes, sir. Those behind the scene guys, you gotta look out for them.
Yeah, they get some of that quarterback money.
Yes, sir.
Oh
Uh,
man. So did you play offensive line at Savannah State?
yeah, I play offensive line. I was a guard. Uh, I rotated at center a little bit. Never got out to the tackles position too much. I was mainly an interior guy.
Yeah.
I play a little bit of nose tackle as well on defense. I got a little taste of defense here and there, but most of the
that's,
line.
that's the reward, the defensive reward, right? Go
Yes.
ahead, go ahead.
So short yardage. I knew it's time to make that goal line stand or
Oh
something.
man,
Go
oh
plug a
man,
hole up.
oh man. See, that's the fun stuff right there. That's what you want,
Yes, sir.
you know. But yeah. So let's get into your schedule. Like, who do you guys play and stuff like that? And
We're a 3A school. We're within the city. We're in the same region with Johnson, Windsor, um, um, Beach, Groves. Um, Southeast Bullock is also in the region. Liberty County is in the region. So that's where we're at this year.
Mhm.
Um, and with of course, with the COVID, we didn't play a traditional region schedule this past season. We just strictly stuck to the local schools. But it seems like next year, if everything's progressing in the right direction, we'll be back in our normal region schedule, and we'll get an opportunity to play some different opponents than we didn't get to play last season.
Nice. Can you tell me how COVID kind of impacted your season? Was it difficult to get guys in the weight room, and did it
Absolutely difficult. The number one thing, it affected our numbers. We're very small this year. We probably actually listed on the roster with 20 players that
okay.
actually could dress and play. So we were in the Ironman football range this year,
Wow.
trying to keep kids healthy so that we didn't have to,
Yeah.
play get some kids that can rotate in and give guys some breaks. It was really difficult, but understandably, most parents didn't want their kids out there playing
Mhm.
um, during this pandemic. So hopefully, we start to see our numbers increase a little bit. More kids are coming to lift weights than they were last season. So you know, it's just getting us excited all over again. It feels like scrapping that past season and this season seems like the first year we actually gonna get going.
Yeah, I was talking to a lot of coaches, and they were saying that this pandemic has like negatively affected them, but the kids seem to still kind of persevere and
Right,
get through it. And I totally can understand parents not wanting their kids out there, especially in the beginning stages of COVID because they didn't know what was going on, and
right.
things like that. But now we see things starting to open up again, and people are coming out of their holes now, and
Right.
we might start to see some good football again, and seeing the kids getting out there and doing what they love to do. You
Yeah,
know,
hopefully, because when I got the job and was finally able to start talking to the players and that's right around time COVID really hit. So
yeah,
um, didn't didn't really have a good in the building recruiting session. Kids were not in the building like they normally would be. I couldn't walk the halls and drum them up and get them interested in playing. So
yeah,
hopefully, when talking about going back to full school next fall, hopefully I can uh, get those kids that want to play, that's walking around the school out there on the field. So we'll see how we look this summer.
so normally, I know the same way. Me working, had worked, being working in the school. I know that you could walk around. You could you see a kid as big or has some good size on him, or you see him in
Right,
gym class, and you walk around and say, hey, you should try out, or you should come.
right,
You do lose that, and
right,
a lot of coaches do lose that in-house recruiting aspect, and it's
right,
harder to get kids now, especially kids that normally if you after school they come to a practice and say, hey, I might want to come out now. You really can't do that.
right,
That's very impactful in a negative way because they can't get out. And I understand that challenge.
right.
So,
And I never really got into buildings before that school year was over. So uh, I got the job in February. So and I was still at another school. So I never really transitioned into the building before COVID hit. So that
uh,
made it even more difficult.
yeah. So, can you tell me about some of your assistant coaches, some of your guys on your staff? Um,
I have several guys that well, a couple guys in particular that we've been together since the Johnson days. We started out at Johnson together, and we just went wherever I went, they followed me. So those guys are still with me. Santana Riley is my defense coordinator. He's been with me since the beginning. Um, my linebacker coach Peter McDowell was with me at New Hampstead. I brought him over with me. Timothy Hill was my DB coach. He was with me in my Johnson days as well. He's been following me around pretty much. I kept a few guys from the old staff, the O line coach, Coach Singleton, the D line coach, Coach Rob. Uh, I kept and the quarterbacks coach. I kept those three guys from that staff. And I got a couple of young guys that were trying to get their feet wet. Graduate coming out of not high school, coming out of college, and just wanted to get into coaching. So so I have them on staff trying to teach them the ropes and getting them involved in what they plan to do for the rest of their career.
Hey man, the family that coaches together stays together, right?
Yes, sir. So I got a lot of young, I got a little young, a little middle, got a little old. So kind of mix it up a little bit.
Hey, those are the best combinations, man. You want to have, you need some old vets, you need some young Thundercats that are
Yes,
ready
sir.
to go, and then you need some guys in the middle that know how to deal with both of them and stuff like that. Those are actually the best staffs, and actually staffs that become championship staffs, because you have experience on all levels at all ages, and then you have guys that have a little bit of the old school, a little bit of the new school, and you got guys in the middle. So you need that.
Yes,
Especially
sir.
like you got some coaches that can talk to the kids on certain levels, on the lower level, on their level, and then you got some guys when you need to rein in things. You got the old school guys that say, "Listen, man, we need the hard nose aspect of it. We need the
Right.
that out in the back, out in the back putting in work aspect."
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, those are good staffs, but sounds like you got a great group of guys there, that are
Yep,
willing
I do.
to work.
I do. They're on board. They're familiar with the philosophy. So it's just basically getting the kids on board now. So I
Yeah.
think we're starting to do that. So we're noting nowhere to go but up.
Okay. Okay. So, Coach, getting on that, what's your biggest rival? You think will be your biggest rival? You know, um, Savannah High School's biggest rival, like the school that you get ready for, the school that you're up for like a week. You just like, man, I can't wait for this game. To go down. What school would that be?
Well, Savannah High is one of the oldest schools in this district, and they've always crosstown rival's always been Beach High School.
Okay.
So I don't have any personal stake in any school that I play because I'm not from here, but I do recognize the rivalry between those two schools, and so it's still here today because people still from Beach still talk trash, and people still from Savannah still talk trash. So you kind of get caught up in there now that you're part of the school and have been thrown into the into the fire. So now you're part of the rivalry. So that's the one everybody looks forward to.
Okay, so it's Beach High School. So everybody's like, man, if it's one game we gotta win, is that one, right?
You got to win that one, and
Is
we let
that
it slip away this year. Now we were winning last seconds of the game and fumbled the ball, and they returned it for a touchdown. So
oh,
we let it get away, but that's part of the game.
oh, yeah, that's the heartbreaking ones too, man. Lose like that, you're like, we were ready to go. Were you guys? So you guys were up and stuff like
We're up. We're up. We're up. I think the score was 14-9 at that point,
that?
and there was a couple of minutes left in the game, and they just made it. One guy made a heck of a play on the ball, and they ended up with the win.
Oh my God, I totally understand. I totally understand that, man. That's something.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so outside of that, and getting into some other things, um, what are your goals for this season? Like, what do you have as a goal? I know the ultimate goal is to always win a championship and stuff like that, but do you have any other corresponding goals that you want to meet? In terms of that.
Well, my biggest goal, I've always watched this program from the outside. I've played against them, coached against them, not played, but coached against them when I was at Johnson and coached against them when I was at New Hampstead. They've always been a young, scrappy bunch that just, I felt always just needed some guidance. And so one of my goals as a coach for this program is to just change the culture of the school, to change the culture of the students, the mentality of the students, because this program has not been successful for a long time. So the goal is to just change the culture and just make this a football school, not just a basketball school.
Okay. Okay. That's a you know what I'm saying that's a good goal to meet and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants continuing to sustain success. And
Right.
you do want, like I always say, man, basketball, is the lifeblood of some programs and stuff like that. But me, I'm biased. So I always think, man, wherever school at, football is the biggest draw for me, man.
Right.
It's it's I
You know,
it's just
that's what I'm used to. I'm used to that. That's what coming from a little country town in South Carolina. That's all we knew.
it's just like football. The town shuts down. Everybody going to the game on Friday.
Everything's shutting down. Everybody's at the football game on Friday.
Yeah, that's the difference. I'm seeing that in Southern football, and I talked to a lot of coaches down here. It's just like it's a real culture down here. It's a real big thing. And like when I was down in Alabama, I was talking to some people at the Waffle House, and the women were coming up saying, "Hey, like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? You guys having a game?" Oh, they're tugging their husbands like, we got to get everything done at the house so we can make it to the game. And these are
Right.
and I'm like, wow, the women have an encyclopedic knowledge of football better
Oh
than
yeah.
the guys I know.
Oh yeah.
So they know, and they grooming their sons to play from birth and stuff like that. It's like your cousins played, your daddy played, your brother played, even in some cases your sister played, so you gonna play too.
Oh yeah. It's truly becoming more and more America's game. It-
Yeah, it's a good game. Not
yes, sir.
everybody can play it, but you know everybody can watch it
Yes,
and
sir.
enjoy it. But
Yes, sir.
so let me ask you a question about recruiting services like ours in general and stuff like that. As a head coach, do you think they're a benefit, like a benefit to a student athlete and to a program, or a hindrance?
All depends on the motive. Some. I mean, I don't pretend to know what people are after when they approach my program or another program. But I feel like if the service has the best interest of the kid at heart and in mind, then it definitely can be a benefit. Because I don't pretend to know everything about recruiting and getting kids in school, and anybody that can help me get these kids where they need to be for their future is a pro for me. But if the alternative motive is to get money in your pocket and just use the kids for your own benefit, then that's definitely a hindrance. So it all depends on who's in charge of the program of the company and what their ultimate motive really is.
Okay.
So
Hey, I'm with it. I'm with it, Coach. I understand. I understand that. I understand that. So, staying on the recruiting path and recruiters. Do you have any kids that colleges are looking at right now? Any kids that colleges are interested in?
I think we're in that phase of people are showing are kind of peeking in the door, trying to see what we have. Not sure if this kid will fit their program or not. So it's up to me as the head coach and the student as the student athlete to give them a reason to go to that next step or that next phase of giving them some interest or some serious a serious look. So I think we're on that part of the process of we don't know a lot about your school, we don't know a lot about your kids, and it's up to us to get their name out there and make sure they have the criteria they need to be looked at.
Okay. So, for an incoming recruit or a kid, that's in your program. Say you have a kid, what kind of advice would you give him, in terms of recruiting? Like if you say, "Hey, coach, how do I get recruited?" What kind of advice would you get to your, to that prospective athlete?
Well, some of the things that I'm trying to implement that I began implementing when I was at Hampstead is we always start on the academic piece first, and we
Mm.
start with the freshman, because that freshman year is the most critical year of maintaining your eligibility and getting your GPA at a certain point, and being ready to take the SAT, the ACT, and all that stuff that you have to the required stuff you have to do before even get to the filming aspect and the visit aspect and all that stuff that goes with it. So we're focusing on academics first, and we set these goals, we set these requirements as a football program that by the end of your freshman year, this is where you need to be. By the end of your sophomore year, this is where you need to be, and so on and so forth. So we get that process going, and then by the time that coaches and recruiters start asking questions and start looking, wanting film and stuff and transcripts, stuff like that, we've already got that piece in place. So it began working at my old school. Kids were starting to get looks, kids were starting to sign, go to school. So hopefully I can implement that same philosophy at the new place.
Yeah, kids don't realize how important that freshman year actually is. Because if you don't do well that freshman year, it sets the tone for the rest of the year. It doesn't have to, but in a lot of cases, it can set a negative tone for the rest of your career and stuff like
All
that.
right. So
You don't want to have to end up taking classes over again or missing out on classes
playing
that
catch
you
up.
need for your core GPA,
Right.
because a lot of kids don't understand. They think they can slack off, and then when they start getting some attention, their junior, sophomore, junior year, they can say, okay, well, I can just come back. Like, no, doesn't work
Right.
like that. you
Yeah, and
know,
what they don't realize when they come in as a freshman, they start with a clean slate. So
yeah.
I used to assign two or three coaches to the freshman group. Yeah, because they need the most attention, and to keep them where they need to be, so they won't fall through the cracks.
Yeah, yeah, that's the most critical year, and I want a lot of kids to understand that more. That you cannot slack off in that first year, and as I said in another interview, you have to have a plan. Like if you want to go Division One or you want to play at the next level in Division One, Two, and Three, you have to have a plan. From the minute you step into high school, you got to say, look, this is what you have to do this year. This is what you have to do your sophomore year. This is what you have to do your junior year. This is what you have to do your senior year. You
Right.
know, and people don't understand that that the best laid plans always come to fruition. They always work out because you
Okay.
have a set of defined goals that are attainable. But we're just trying to kind of impart that knowledge to today's youth, because a lot of us growing up, didn't have those type of people in our corners saying, "Hey, man, like this is what you need to be doing," or even resources like Twitter and
Mhm.
Facebook and Instagram where you can easily DM coaches. Back when we was playing, it was all videotapes, and we're
Right.
leaving head coaches hoping that we would get seen and stuff like that. But
Right.
now, a kid can just say, coach, you see it on Twitter all day. Coaches are
Right.
asking the kids, DM me your huddle film, and
Right.
you can do it straight from there. So these kids actually have an advantage, but they don't. But simultaneously, they don't realize that you need a plan as well.
Right.
Because you can't send them your huddle film. They say, okay, your huddle film is nice. Now let me look at your grades, because
Right.
me having dealt with recruiters, I've seen recruiters come into schools and they say, well, the first thing I want to know is what's the kid's transcript look like, and they
Right.
say, well, if I say, well, this kid's transcript isn't good, they'll leave right on the spot and go to their next destination.
Right.
So, that's things that I always want to tell kids, like you got those like you said, coach, those grades and that schoolwork has to be first.
Right. Those are the conversations we have. We just and like it's like I kind of try to set up like kind of like the high school setup. You have different pathways, and some kids are don't have any intention of playing football. Some kids want to play football after high school. Some kids don't. So we start with the academic piece for everybody, and then by the time we get sophomore junior year, when you say, "Well, coach, I want to go to college, but I don't want to play," we take them in a different direction. I want to go to college and I want to play. We go in a different direction. So they have they have different avenues they can take once they get to that junior year. And it's time to start taking visits or whatever you want to do. So
Yeah, I hear you on that, Coach. I hear you. I hear you. So, so before we wrap up today, I just want to let everybody know that we're having our college prospects showcase series March 21st, Memorial Stadium, 101 John C. Scott Drive, Savannah, Georgia. We're gonna have a combine testing and speed clinic there, offense, defense, specialist position drills, one-on-one and 7-on-7 competitions. We're gonna have a recruiting fair and college meet and greet sessions. Colleges that will be attending: Edward Waters, LaGrange, Shorter, Florida Memorial, Ava Maria, Weber, Southeastern Warner, Kaiser, Northeast Mississippi Community College, and a special guest is going to be our Corn Blue kicking instructor for specialists. So we're gonna have a lot of good things out there for the student athlete. And before we leave, Coach, do you have anything else you want to touch on? Do you want to say?
oh, I just want to say I appreciate you for having me on. I really enjoyed being on the show. And I look forward to. Hope you guys have a successful combine this weekend. I'm trying to get some of my guys out there, and I appreciate what you're doing for the kids and helping Savannah get more exposure.
Yes, Coach. Yes, Coach. Well, I guarantee this isn't going to be the last you see of us in Savannah. We'll definitely probably be back again for some future showcases, and I may be down there for some games because I think I'm going to when everything gets settled down, I'm going to do a southeastern high school tour and
Okay.
and get come check some games out because the more coaches I talk to in the South, the more I start to see the culture of high school football out there, and the more I want to, stick my toes in there
Yes, sir.
and check it out.
Yeah, you can never truly get all the way out. You might take a break, but you're always going to find your way back.
That's right. Well, Coach, you just stay on with us after we log out. And for everybody else, thank you for joining us today. As I always say, build your name, bring your game, and as Coach Creek says, outwork everybody. We'll see you guys again later. Thank you, everybody.